people now. Let me out. Let me out. Let me out. Fuck. I gotta be rolling to keep it cool enough to keep the steam down. There we go.
Continue on US 24.
Oh my. I blew something in my coolant system. It's whatever it is directly behind my turbocharger and exhaust system there. And in order to get to it, I'm going to have to take the entire EGR valve system off and then remove the turbocharger and exhaust system, and then I can get to figuring out whatever it is. But I'm gonna be babying this thing about 250 miles down the road to a friend's house where I can work on it. There's gonna be a gnarly day. I already had to cancel. I babied it in to where I had to deliver my load this morning. I got in there last night and just parked on their property. And then this morning, they unloaded me early. I caught a little bit of sleep while the temperature was cooler. And then now I'm just gonna baby it back to my buddy's house. I had to cancel a bunch of loads that I already had scheduled. Stop and refill my reservoir. But it's not my first rodeo on this kind of thing. Because right now I've got 1,401,340.9 miles on this engine. On this truck. She's been good. I love how people hop in to see if it's any convoy stuff and then they hop right on out. Yeah, the convoy's gone dark. You're not going to see anything from them until you see it on the news. Trust me. They have a plan. I don't know why I can't see nothing on the chat stream, but maybe you haven't said anything yet. Now I'm on US 24, which is also US 40. I delivered in Lawrence this morning. Matter of fact, the place I delivered right past it the other morning. Well, yeah, it was still morning-ish. He drove right past it here the other day, and I'm headed back towards Kansas City right now, and pretty soon I will be without too many stops, I will be back in St. Louis, where I can park it at a friend's place, and I can run and get. I can start taking everything apart and run and get the parts I need, and then get her back up and running. Like I said, I got to baby her in because I don't want to overheat her. So I can run her until the coolant gets low enough that she starts heating up, and then I'm going to pull over and refill her, keep on going again, over and over, until I get there. I mean, I would take it, like, in another 40 some miles, there's going to be a shop that I could take it to that would have the parts. But who's got the money to spend $300 to $600 an hour for a mechanic? And then even at that, it's first come, first serve. So if they've got like 20 trucks broken down that need fixed, that came in ahead of you, those 20 trucks are going to be in the bays getting worked on long before yours. So you could be down an entire 2-3 weeks before they ever get to your truck. Granted, me doing the job by myself, it could probably take me 2 or 3 days to get all the parts off of the truck that I need to get off so that I can see where it's leaking and fix it, and then 2 or 3 days to put it all back on. And, so I could lose a week doing this myself, or I could lose 3 more dollars. So, what do you think? Am I crazy for trying to drive this thing all the way, another 250 miles so that I can work on it myself? Farm boy, if I don't, if I can get it there without having to pay for a tow truck, and I can work on it without having to pay for a mechanic, yeah, I'm gonna do that, because I'm gonna save that money, especially when I don't have hardly any money at all to my name right now anyway. I spent a little too much time with the convoy, not to mention some things that happened prior to the convoy that set me way back financially. So I had to make a decision, take it to a shop or work on it myself. Well, yeah, I'm gonna work on it myself. Because of how much money this is probably going to end up costing me, I may not be able to rejoin the convoy anytime soon. I may have to run for a couple of weeks before I can get back again. We will see. We will see. But hey, I'll be live streaming as much as I can from now on. Anything you want to discuss or whatever, just go ahead and bring it up in the live chat there. Because I'll talk about just about anything. Cures my boredom. Light's gonna go red before get up on my windshield before it goes green. Yep, there. Oh, good. Good. I didn't have to sit too long. I got a friend of mine that lives just outside of St. Louis, Missouri, in Arnold, Missouri area. So I'm taking it over to him. I'm going to work on it myself. By doing that, I have a place where I can have the truck, and I have access to vehicles where I can run and get parts. So that's about my only option, because I don't know anybody in this end over here by Kansas City. At least not anymore. I had a couple of friends that used to live here, but they moved. They moved out towards Seattle, Washington area. They got some really good paying job offers up there, and they went. They've been pretty happy up there lately.
In 1 3/4 miles, take the ramp on the right to US 24 East.
I got that buddy Tom of mine over there. That's where I'm going. I will end up probably having to stop 3 or 4 times between here and there to get water. I'm just going to start buying water. I've got 1.5 gallons of coolant left and 2 gallons of water.
Take the ramp on the right to
once
US
the other
24
1.5
East.
gallons of coolant are out, then I will refill them with water. Just keep doing that as I go, but I will have to stop and get a little bit of fuel on the way also, because I'm down to 1/4 of a tank at the moment. It's about 250 miles from here. Just outside of Kansas City, Kansas, Missouri.
In 1.5 miles, take the exit on the right to I-70 East towards St. Louis.
And I just decided to say screw it. I changed my set up to put me on the toll road. I'll go ahead and pay the toll. Not a big deal. It'll be faster for me, easier for me to stay at a highway speed instead of having to run into street lights. Yeah, so St. Louis is the right lane. Okay. When you sit at street lights, you run the risk of losing more coolant because she'll leak worse while she's idling than she will when you're running her at a higher RPM. At least in that spot, because it's it's higher up on the engine. If it was lower on the engine, it would leak even more the higher the RPM. These diesels are just built that way. At least these Volvo diesel engines.
Take the exit on the right to I-70 east towards St. Louis. Like I said, this is not the first time I've sprung some kind of coolant leak and had to baby her several hundred miles to get to somewhere where I can work on it myself. But, you know, it's always a worry. The only thing I really got to pay attention to right now is making sure that I don't overheat her. And I'll make Continue on
it.
I-70.
Gotta baby the truck in 250 miles and then I can start working on her. But you know, you can't really expect much out of a system that has been riding together for a little over 1,400,000 miles. You know, things are bound to start breaking. Usually, most trucks, the stuff starts breaking at like before you get to 500,000 miles. But this truck, she's run all the way to almost 1.5 million, and she's still ticking strong. The only problem is every once in a while I pop something in the coolant system, and that's because it's all 2006 with over almost a million. Well, it's just a little over 1.4 million miles. 1,401,354 miles right now. And if anybody out here is a real true owner-operator, they'll do exactly what I'm doing. They'll baby that puppy into some place where they can work on it themselves. That's my only real option. An owner-operator doesn't really have the extra money setting aside to just take it to a shop and have it fixed. Not unless they work for some company that has a maintenance program of some kind, where you set aside X amount of money constantly out of your check automatically that builds up over time so that you can work on it and they take that out of you. But usually, even when you do that, the cost of the repairs at any shop are going to be 2 to 3 times more than what you've already got saved up, even if it was 2 to 3 years of running before you do it. And you end up with like a $3, $4, $5, $6,000 bill on top of what you had in there. So now you run around the country making almost no money at all because the company they paid the excess overage, and they're taking that right back out of your check the entire time. And I don't have that luxury. Either I take it into a shop, let them do the work, and magically have all the money they want for the repairs, or I start working on it myself and only have to pay for the parts. And that's what I do. I work on it myself for the most part. Sometimes I have other people help. Yeah, Brenda, it is a lot cheaper that way. When I go ahead and stop again to make sure that I'm not too low on my coolant level, you will see when I stop, you'll see my whole windshield suddenly gets covered in steam on the outside. I blew something in the coolant system that's hiding right behind my exhaust and my turbocharger on that side of the engine, and I can't see exactly what it is or where it is unless I remove my turbocharger and that part of the exhaust right there. But I can't do that without removing the entire EGR system, the EGR valves and all that, because the turbocharger won't come out with those in the way. So it's going to be a long job to do with a lot of things to take apart, but we'll get her done. Set it at 70. Just trying to behave. Set my speed. Set my cruise control at 70. So I'm kind of in a hurry. The speed limit is 70. I'm trying to be good so I don't get a ticket. Because I don't know, if other people have ridden with me, they know I don't. Then again, almost nobody does anymore. I mean, look at this. I'm actually a little over the speed limit. I think it's doing 72 right now, and I'm being passed on both sides. And I'm not really catching up to anybody, unless it's another big truck. Going on in your neck of the woods there, Brenda? What's your State of the Union today? Sorry for the shaky screen. Can't help it. The roads are that way. The whole truck is vibrating like that. That's just the state of the. I can stop it by putting my hand down hard on it. Let's see if I can force it to hold me down harder. Focus is out. There we go. Cash App. I have a Venmo. I don't know. In order for me to look that stuff up right now, because I hadn't planned on having to use that. You know, I hadn't planned on putting it on my YouTube. And I'd have to kill the video to look it all up, but I do have those options. I also have a Zelle. Unless it has to do with reprogramming the computer, I can fix pretty much whatever is wrong with my truck. The only reason I can't do anything with the computer for these semi-trucks, the little computer and the special cables and the programming all together is going to run you like $60,000-$70,000 to buy them. Now this one's older. I could probably get a much cheaper setup, and I could probably get a hacked version of the programming, but then that's illegal, and so running a risk of having a bad program in the first place. I could easily do all of that stuff and be just fine, but I would rather take it to a professional that has the right tool and the right programming to talk to the computer on the truck and get it done the right way. It's not what my problem is today. My problem today is I blew something in my coolant system.
To I-670.
So we're gonna stop. I'm driving across from Kansas City, Kansas to St. Louis, Missouri, to a friend's place to park it and work on it instead of taking it to a shop. So that's going to be about a 250-mile run today. We're going to stop several times and refill the reservoir with water, so that when I get there, I get it done, get it worked on, drain the whole system out and refill it with all brand new coolant and go from there. I gave you the wrench.
Be in any of the 3 left lanes. In 2¼ miles, keep left to I-70 East.
Yep. Yeah, look at that. Kansas City, Kansas. Kingdom, you are now a moderator. I gave you the wrench. You can also go in, I think, and change up
In
some of the
1.5
settings,
miles,
like
keep left to
slow
I-70
mode
east.
and stuff like that. I don't know what all you can do. I haven't really taken the time to research all that yet. But, you know, it helps. Things in the chat from what I understand. So I suppose I probably should have asked you if you'd want to do that in the first place, but if you don't want to do it, let me know. If you don't like having the power, let me know. Scroll up in the comments. There's a Brenda commented. So you can scroll up in the comments and find that, and then you can tap on the name and see what happens or whatever. I mean, there's probably other buttons and stuff that showed up on your screen now. That give you the ability to do things.
Be in the second lane from the left. In 1.
Personally, I have always hated driving through Kansas City. Driving through most of Kansas is all right. I mean, it's mostly barren, flat, little rolling hill areas, but for the most part, it's easy to drive through. The people out in the smaller towns are easy to get along with. Their friends. City. People here are not so nice.
Be in any of the 4 right lanes.
St. Louis, going to St. Louis, Kansas City, Kansas.
Continue on I-670.
The place I had to deliver my load this morning wasn't like gated off. You know, I was able to pull in there and park the truck on their property last night. That way this morning all I had to do was, you know, start it up, back it into their dock, shut it down, start it back up to get back out of their dock and shut it down, re-add some coolant or some water to the system, and then get going again. But it never fails, you know. Something like this always happens or tends to break at the end of the day, where by the time you find a place to pull into, or you get the truck safely off the road or whatever, there's no place open that you can call and say, hey, this is what's going on. What kind of part do I need, or where is the shop? When can I get it in? Or do you have somebody you can send out to me? They're all closed by the time that stuff happens. So no matter what, you always end up spending the night out there and then waiting till morning for some kind of clue as to what your next direction with that's going to be. You know, like last night, I had no clue how things were going to play out until this morning. I tried to make a lot of phone calls last night. I had to cancel a lot of loads. I had to cancel loads first thing this morning, as soon as brokers were back in their offices. But that's the best I can do, you know. It's not like I can say, yeah, I can run a good solid 4 or 5 months, and then I'm on this day at this time I'm going to break down. I can't say that. Nobody can predict that. It just happens. Good thing is it's only my coolant system, and it's a small leak. So I can actually get it babied across the state of Missouri for 250 miles till I get it to a buddy's place where I can actually work on it myself, instead of having to pay a mechanic several $100s an hour. If y'all are watching, go ahead and start commenting. See, we can start up a conversation and we can keep this going. Got people in the chat stream there, you know. Hit the like and subscribe button. If you want to be able to comment, you got to subscribe. Actually entering the Missouri side of Kansas City. I don't know if I missed the sign that said I was leaving Kansas and entering Missouri, but if you watch, Missouri's actually really pretty all the way across. If anybody's ever watched Trucker G and Mrs. G,
Be in any of the 3 left lanes.
They actually live here in Missouri, from what I understand. So you have probably seen a lot of Missouri on their live streams in the past. Yep. There's just one of those days. Other people are commenting. Let's see, what did you say? Yeah, that is kind of funny. Yeah, she was the only person commenting at the time. Good morning, Mike. I am not really sure how safe my travels are going to be. And yeah, I'm kind of on the road, but I blew something in my coolant system that is hiding behind my turbocharger on the engine. So I am leaking coolant as I drive. I'm going to be babying the truck the next 250 miles back to St. Louis to a buddy's place where I can work on it myself. So we are going to stop a few times and put coolant back in the truck. And I also got to stop for fuel. And it's going to be a super hot, muggy day. I can't really run the air conditioner so that I can keep the temperature of the coolant down long enough that I can make it a little further down the road before having to add more. But yeah, that's just the name of the game. Yeah, I'm not sure what the temperature here in Missouri is going to be today, but from what I understand, it's going to be really far up there. Now, yesterday was scary enough because I drove in between two tornadoes that were on each side of the highway. On I-70 in Illinois around mile marker 53. I don't know if those tornadoes actually touched down, but you could see them. And the sky was just green, 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 green. The wind hit me really dang hard on the right-hand side and pushed my trailer across the other lane when it impacted. But I was able to keep it on the road, and I'm glad nobody was next to me when it did it. I was able to keep it on the road, and which, you know, I've done that a few times. You know, you get into an area, your weather alert starts going off, the sky turns green, and before you can a lot of people say that's scary. To me, it is a little. It's a higher stress situation. I've been through several of them that were classified category 3 or less. I've never actually been in one stronger than that. And every time it's been, I drove right through it, and about the time I realize that there is a tornado there, it's already too late. Now, you don't even have. Usually, I don't even have. So you just have to muscle through it and pray that the truck stays on the ground and nothing comes flying through your windshield. I've been lucky every time, I guess, if that's how you want to look at it, but that's just the name. Yeah, if anybody on here in the chat, you know, if you're a moderator in some other channel, you know, you could give Rosie kind of a little tutorial on what she's looking for and things that she can and can't do, you know. That would be much appreciated. I'm actually on the, yeah, I am on the Missouri side of Kansas City now, definitely, and I'll be out of Kansas City here real soon. I am gonna stop at the Petro right there, just east of Kansas City. I got to put a little bit of fuel on and check my reservoir, put some more coolant in, and then get going again. Now, keep in mind, this is not my first rodeo babying a truck with a coolant leak across the country. I mean, 2 years ago, I spent the entire winter doing that, and that was actually a pretty decent sized coolant leak. I would stop every few hours and dump 6 gallons of coolant back into it, like every 2 hours, like clockwork, all winter long, because it was too nasty and too cold outside to work on it. Not to mention it, beginning of the COVID stuff, and you couldn't find any shops who had anybody that was at work. They were non-essential-ish, and it was hard to go into places and get parts that I needed to fix it. Even now, we still run into that issue. I spent 9 months looking for a new hood for my truck. Couldn't get a new hood, so I was also looking for used ones, and I finally here a few weeks back was able to get one that was the right one, and all the things on it that I needed to have for DOT, like the hood hinge mount area and all that, were not broken already. It took that long to get one, and that's why my truck has a blue hood instead of the original green one that matches the rest of the truck. And it's because I hit a cougar in the middle of the night out in eastern Oregon, and when I hit it, it broke the hinge mounts. So if I were to open my hood at the time, the entire hood would fall off, and considering it's a giant hood made of fiberglass, it takes 6 guys to lift that hood up into place and put it on, so it's not like I was opening my hood very often during that time. Hey, I told you, if you don't want to be a moderator, you can say no. Checking on the comment strain here. Give me a second. Yeah, well, there were spots coming through Kansas City there that the transmission was really, really weak, which doesn't make sense because you're in the heart of a big city. So why in the world would you have a really, really weak cellular signal? have other mods also. It's not just you, Rosie. You can come and go as you please. If you need to go do something, go do something. You don't have to sit here and be a mod the entire time. People we start seeing in chat, the better, you know, and we get a good conversation going. If anybody wants to know what the convoy is doing, you know, you can always go to one of the other live streamers that's actually there, but from what I understand right now, they are completely dark, so nobody's really sure what they're doing at the moment. But it'll come out soon enough. They have a plan, you can trust that. Yeah, somebody giving me all kinds of waves because I've got the American flag hanging on the back of my trailer. I don't have my door, my driver door or passenger door flags hanging out. It's just a little too much to deal with when I'm blowing a coolant leak right now. You know, I'm not really worried about flying my flags at the moment. Yes, I know. That's what called going dark is. They turned off all live streams. So what they basically are doing is they're making sure that the people on the other side don't have a clue unless they're embedded within. Hope that they're making the right decision by doing that. I really do. Hey, look, this building on the right is OOIDA, the Owner Operators and Independent Drivers Association. That's for the big owner operator truckers like me and most of the other guys that are actually in the convoy. And they're pretty much close to the only real representation we have in the industry and in the country, especially at the government level. Problem is, they also have a lot of ways that they, just like any other politician in DC, but most of the time they still actually have a trucker's back instead of the corporations or the politicians. But sometimes, you know, they're not as good at having the truckers back today as they were, say, 20 years ago. But there are so many benefits to being part of them. You know, they cheaper insurances, cheaper toll setups, cheaper fuel setups, cheaper. There's a lot of things, you know, a lot of things like life insurance. You can get life insurance, accidental death and dismemberment. medical insurance program, all kinds of stuff solely for truckers, for owner-operators. Most places you can find it on the outside. And I think I'm going to push on past this Petro because my coolant temperature is still staying down in the operating range that it's supposed to. So I'll push further because I've got room for more fuel. I've got room to get a little further down the road, is what I'm saying. I wish all these roads were nice and flat and level and smooth, but they are not. They haven't been nice and smooth for at least the last 15 years that I know of. At least. I remember a time when I could cross here and you wouldn't feel a thing. But it hasn't been that way in a long time. Good morning. Yeah. Well, the thing is that they were already having a lot of drop in viewership, a lot of drop in subscribers beforehand. And that started when they made the decision to go from Hagerstown, Maryland to California and back. I mean, every one of the live streamers' viewerships started dropping then, and it just continued. So now that they are back in DC, granted, going dark may lose some. And they are there to complete the mission that was originally set up. My biggest worry is that they don't have anywhere near the trucks that they used to. They need more support. They need more cars and RVs and pickups and motorcycles. They need more. Everybody blooded American, everybody that believes in the Constitution and believes in your rights and your freedoms, everybody should be out their door and headed to DC to join. Everybody. It doesn't matter whether you're on the left side or the right side or the flying spaghetti side. It doesn't matter. This is about the rights and freedoms of your children, your grandchildren, your great-grandchildren, and so on. This doesn't have anything to do with any particular political affiliation. This doesn't have anything to do with Trump. This doesn't have anything to do with Biden. This has everything to do with what is right for the future of America and our children's futures. Powers Act in place, coupled with the Patriot Act, and now Biden is about to hand over emergency power control to the WHO in times of worldwide pandemic, which will make it so that if something were to happen and they decide that they're going to go and claim that there's another pandemic, and we're already under emergency powers, and they can turn around and say, okay, we're claiming a pandemic, so we're taking control of your country. They can have the NATO little blue helmets on everybody's doorstep overnight, which up until now, up until they decide to do that, that has never been legal. blue helmets have never been allowed on American soil. The only time blue helmets can be on American soil is when they are on their embassy property. But the WHO is a foreign body that will be given full control of the United States in case of in event of a pandemic. No thank you. I don't want your little blue helmets on my doorstep deciding that because of the pandemic I can't have a TV, or I can't have these guns or that or those guns, or these knives or those knives, or maybe they decide I've stored up too much food and they need to come and take it so they can redistribute it. That is what they are about to sign. That's what Biden is about to sign over with the WHO, giving them full control when we're under an emergency powers and a pandemic at the same time. That is why it is so important that everybody get up and get out there. Get to DC. Join in. Worried about losing your job or your house or whatever. If you have medical reasons, that's one thing. But if you're just worried about losing your job and your house because you can't pay your bills, why would you worry about that versus this, when this is something that could turn around and make sure that you don't have any of those things anyway? With the Emergency Powers Act, you don't even have rights right now anyway. Your rights are suspended. Your constitutional rights are suspended as long as the Emergency Powers Act is in play, and it is. Biden still has it in play. And you add that in with the Emergency Powers Act, so if you start saying or doing things that are completely contrary against the government, or what the politicians have mandated or said, they have the right to come in and take you, throw you into a cell, lock it, throw the key away, and you're never seen or heard from again. They can do that with the Patriot Act because they'll label you a domestic terrorist. It's kind of funny how the real American patriots today are now labeled by the left as domestic terrorists. Wait a minute. So the People's Convoy ran from one end of the country to the other and back again without incident, 100% peaceful the entire way. We didn't break anything, we didn't burn anything, we didn't destroy anything, we didn't hurt anybody. Guess what? Wow, the peaceful protests of the BLM and Antifa over the last several years. I don't know how. It's beyond me how anybody can think that peaceful means burning things down, breaking windows, destroying businesses, beating people up, hospitalizing people, and or killing people. Yes, and I said killing people because guess what? No matter what the media tells you, in Portland and in Seattle and in Minnesota, up there in loony area, people did get killed. People did get hospitalized. People did get beat up. All of those things were burning. And guess what? You called that peaceful. Everybody called that peaceful. Didn't call any of them terrorists or domestic terrorists, but they're instantly calling a fully peaceful movement like the People's Convoy domestic terrorists. What? Because we love our country? Because we love our Constitution? Because we love our Bill of Rights? Because we love what every bit of it stands for and we don't want to see it wiped away in one sweep? It'll only, after signing the thing with the WHO, it'll take one time, and next thing you know, our Constitution is gone and we are no longer a free country. We have all been turned into slaves at that point. They have been so successful in creating division in this country that keeps this group mad at this group, mad at that group, mad at that group. All the groups, they've separated groups out by race, color, creed, sex, gender, age, job types, geographical location types, and they've made people so quick to judge and be mad at the other side and unwilling to hear what anybody has to say, so that we're all at war with each other instead of all standing up and saying, hey, we don't like what you're doing, Mr. Government people. It's time for you to step down and real Americans to take back the control. That is why they've tried so hard to create the division. That is why they have pushed the media so hard to also create that division, whether it be against your gun rights or against your freedom of speech or against your rights to privacy or any of that. The reason they've done that is to keep us all from standing up and saying, hey, you're not doing that no more. Put new people in. And we should have done that so long ago when Congress and Senate took away the term limits. Yes, they used to have term limits, but they did this. It wasn't decided by any American people. It was decided by politicians in office that they didn't need term limits anymore. Well, I say it's time for having term limits back. I say anybody that has been in office longer than 2 terms needs to get out. Need to have a 2-term limit on Congress and Senate. And that's not just at the federal level, but that should be at the state levels also. If you've got a governor, your terms should be only 2 terms. Your mayors should only be 2 terms. Your county seats and commissioners and all of it should only be 2 terms. Your school board members should only be able to be on the board for 2 terms. Period. I don't mind if you start at the school district and you serve 2 terms, and then you go to being a mayor or whatever for 2 terms, and then you go to the county seat for 2 terms, and then you go to, governor for 2 terms, and then you go to being a congressman for 2 terms, and then president for 2 terms. That's fine. But if you're sitting in the same exact position, like any one of our congressmen and senators, for longer than 2 terms, that's wrong. Because at that point, you are no longer serving the people, you're only serving yourself. And you are not doing what is right for your people. Well, good. Scale house. I'm happy. That makes me happy. I have to go in to a scale house or bypass it, and that beep was actually the one that said I could bypass it. It also flashes a green light. If it's flashing red, it's a different sounding beep and it's more rapid, but it will also be flashing red if I have to go in. So good news is today I don't have to go in. God forbid I pull up onto their scale and come to a stop so they can weigh me, and then I start steaming all over the place. They won't let me pass through at that point. They'll shut me down and I can't get to where I need to work on the truck, and I'll have to get a tow truck before I can leave, blah, blah, blah. No, thank you. Way too much overreach on the government regulations there, As with all the regulations and strictness that they have on us, and all of the stuff about our vehicles for this trucking industry, they have all the same laws in place for your cars and your pickups and your motorcycles, but guess what? They don't enforce them. How many people have busted taillights or busted headlights or missing or bumpers that are hanging off, about to fall off, and body pieces that are about to fall off, windshields that are so smashed, and they never get pulled over and ticketed. To the country, you see these busted up vehicles that should not be on the road, driving on the road with no license plates whatsoever, or extremely expired tags on plates if they do have them, and nobody pulls them over either. 20, 30 years ago, I got pulled over regularly. Tail light or a turn signal that didn't work, or maybe, just any little thing, even a crack in my windshield, I would get pulled over in a car. Just like that, boom. But today, they don't even bother. They'll come after a trucker in a heartbeat, but they won't do anything about a car. I just left Kansas City. Sasnak's on his way to Kansas City. Alice, thank you for saying hit the like and subscribe there. Would you like to be a mod? You can say no if you want to. I won't be hurt. Yeah, speaking of fake demics, so here several days ago, actually it was a little over a couple of weeks ago that when they filed, but the BLM and Antifa, they both filed for daily permits every day over the next 2+ months in Washington, D.C. for protest. The thing is, everybody thinks that they did that because of these shootings in Buffalo, New York. That they're going to protest about that. Well, here's the funny thing. If that were true, how did they know that those shootings were going to happen when they filed before those shootings happened? What kind of false flag do they have coming down the pipe that we don't know about? Because the BLM and Antifa filed for their protesting in DC every day for the next 2+ months before those shootings even happened. So guess what? It's all a shell game. Follow the money. Follow the documentation and follow the timelines. I understand, Alice. No time, no time. Oh yeah, Karma's knocking. Karma is knocking. And she carries a gigantic nuke. Trust me. It don't matter. You can run all you want, but you can never hide from karma. I'm not really going to touch that subject there, Brenda. Is that Brenda or Bertine? It's hard to see the screen from the driver's seat, so. This guy is conspiracy theorist. Why am I not surprised? I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I am not a conspiracy theorist. The information is there. It's all accessible to the public. It's on the government websites. You can go straight there and look it up. Why in the world would the BLM and Antifa, think about it, it's on public record, it's a matter of public record, they filed 2 weeks, they filed the paperwork, they got approved a few days ago for their daily protests over the next few months. But guess what? Everybody, including them, are saying that they're protesting the shootings in Buffalo and New York. But how in the world is that possible when they filed for those protests before the shootings happened? It's not a conspiracy, it's public record. It's public knowledge. You just have to go to the government work. That's not a conspiracy theory. That's a fact. And when it comes to the Emergency Powers Act, the Patriot Act, and the thing that Biden's about to do with the WHO, that's not a conspiracy theory either. Those things are in place, except the WHO one, which he's about to sign. And as soon as he does, it gives foreign bodies outside this country the right anytime they choose to claim a pandemic of some kind. I'm sorry, but I don't. You? That's not a conspiracy theory. That's happening. Open your eyes. Yeah. And we'll see this weekend how much media coverage the People's Convoy ends up getting when they go into DC, because like I said, Antifa and the BLM are already there, not to mention the mayor and the Biden administration have signed off on the National Guard indefinitely for the next year. So the National Guard is already there in place. So basically the local National Guard for the next entire year to sit in Washington, D.C. You add BLM. I don't know. I mean, I'm worried for the People's Convoy, but I also know everybody there very well, and they are good, strong, real men and women that have real conviction. I know they can handle whatever gets thrown their way. That being said, I'm still praying for them. Still praying for them. I can't be with them right now. Wish I could be. Wish I could be. But this truck is this truck of mine is not wanting to do her job. She's wanting to lay down and say, I'm done for now. I've still got to thousands to a so here in a little bit I will end up having to pull over and add more water into my coolant system. But I've got 206 more miles to get to where I gotta go to be able to work on my truck. So I'm just glad I'm moving in the first part of the day where it's not going to be too hot, because the hotter the temperature outside, the hotter your engine will get faster, which will also push more of that coolant out that little leak faster. You know, everybody's been talking about the Convention of States for so long. I'm surprised it's never gained enough traction to actually have been done yet, with all the garbage that has gone on over the last several years. How is it possible that the Convention of States has not been fully put into effect? How? Are there really that many people that look at it and go, I don't want to, they don't even want to hear what you have to say. They just, no, I don't have time for you. Even if it's something that they believe in, they don't even take the time to hear what it's about. They just think it's another one of those stupid campaigns that somebody's like you pull up to the Safeway and there's 10 people walking around with clipboards and little surveys and questionnaires. So you know, nobody wants to do those. Like I've always been saying ever since the day of the election 2 years ago, you know, ever since November 2 years ago, the day for keyboard warriors, the time for keyboard warriors is over. The day after the election, everybody should have put down their keyboards and marched on DC. All the people that you were possibly going to wake up are already awake. Those that you haven't woken up yet will not wake up. Even when the truth is brought out in the light and reality is hitting them, they're going to sit there and say, and they'll stay that way. They will not believe it no matter what. Even after an entire change, if we were able to actually swing this country around and head it back in the right direction, I guarantee the people that haven't woke up yet still won't. So like I said, and have been saying since the day after the election, the time for keyboard warriors is over. Stop being pacified by the psyop. That is, I studied the Q stuff in the beginning, and I was like, yeah, there's some truth here and there's some truth there, but there's a whole lot of conjecture and mistruth and misdirection packed up inside of it. And I'm sorry, but in my opinion, this is my opinion, the entire Q movement was a psyop designed by the opposition to keep the people that would have marched the day after the election, to keep them pacified, to keep them from picking up their arms and going after the thief. How do you take the American patriots in this country and keep them from going against you when you are about to pull one of the dirtiest thefts ever in history? How do you do that? Oh, I don't know. You keep them on their keyboards glued to their screens, and gee, that was easy. Keyboard warrior time is over. Put the keyboard down, grab up your car keys, and go to DC. If you can't go to DC because you don't have the money, or you don't have that kind of transportation, or transportation that'll make it, that is fine. Go to your city hall. Go to your school board. Go to your local county seats. Go to your state capital. Be seen, be heard, be loud. Demand your country back. Demand your rights back. Demand the end of the Emergency Powers Act. Demand the end of the Patriot Act. Demand that Biden does not sign with the WHO. And demand they open the pipelines back up and the refineries back up. There is no reason for our fuel prices to be up as high as they are. Executive that closed the pipelines, and it took us from to having to buy our fuel from Russia. Now, let's have an excuse for buying fuel from Russia, or for the fuel prices going up high without people realizing that we're buying fuel from Russia. Oh, well, let's just have Putin join the and enter the Ukraine and blame it on that. Well, guess what? The fuel prices were already rising exponentially before that. This had the fuel prices had nothing to do with Biden, right? That's what they say. Well, I'm here to tell you that's wrong. Everybody says, "Oh no, it was all Putin. It's all Putin. This war over in the Ukraine, it all has to do with that. That's why your fuel prices are going up." No, fuel prices were going up beforehand. Guess what? It's because he signed the executive orders closing the pipelines and the refineries in this country and took us away from our own energy and making us buy it from the people that they're saying are the bad people. I mean, wake up. Even before the thing with the Ukraine, reporters, there's even a video out there, reporters asked Biden as he was crossing the lawn, asked him, "What do you think about the fuel prices?" And he smiled and laughed and put a thumb up at him and said, "They're gonna go up!" And that was before the Ukrainian junk. So guess what? Wake up. Put the keyboard down and get active. That is what it's going to take. I saw somewhere yesterday, I was watching somebody else's live stream yesterday, and they were someone in the chat was talking about, oh well, you know, these gas stations don't have to sell the fuel at that price. The gas station is the one that sets the price. Biden has nothing to do with it. Wait a minute, the gas station doesn't set the price. The company that delivers the fuel to the gas station sets the price to the gas station, and the gas station needs to make an income, so they set a price that's only like 3 or 4 cents per gallon higher. And whoever's before the guys that bring the fuel to the gas station, and before everybody's adding 3 cents or so here or there along the way. There's a bunch of overall base fuel price is so insanely high right now compared to what it was 2 years ago. And that has nothing to do with the gas stations. They can't just turn around and sell it for cheaper. They have no choice but to sell it for the price they're selling it for. And every bit of it leads back to the documentation that Biden signed closing everything down. If I can do this. There. It's a little less shaky, but it's off kilter. Who lost the election? You want to know who lost the election? The American people lost the election. The American people lost the election. Jake brakes. Well, the Jake brakes were working. They were just making a loud screaming noise, and they were not working as strong as normal. They're still doing that, but I have a feeling that this coolant leak I popped this morning is related to that issue, because the sound is coming from the same place where the coolant leak now is. I was thinking maybe I had a torn boot in my air charge system, you know, from the turbocharger through the CAC and back into the intake. I was thinking maybe I tore a boot, which that's an easy, you know, you just take the old rubber boot off, put a whole new rubber boot on, and you're good. I was thinking maybe that was the problem, and you know, it was on that one side of the engine where I have a really long boot, from the turbo up to the CAC in front of the radiator. It's just coincidental. It could be coincidental that I have two different things going on at the same time, or it could have been that what I was experiencing yesterday was actually a precursor to the coolant leak actually becoming a thing. I don't know, but I've got my Jakes turned off right now. Instead of using them when I'm going down the hills, I'm having to use my brakes more. But I'm good. It's not like I'm climbing any major mountains in Missouri. Yes, the left lane is the passing lane. But if you were paying attention, I was passing. The problem is, as soon as I got next to the other truck that I was passing, he sped up. Even though you couldn't see him on camera, the nose of his truck stayed right next to my passenger door. And if you know anything about semi-trucks, guess what? We don't accelerate too well going uphill. So I had to wait and was stuck in that lane until I got to the top of the hill. And yeah, left lane is for passing, right? There it goes. Bye-bye, Landjet. And you know, you say left lane is for passing, but you see these cars ahead of me? You know how many times I'll see these cars up there and they will sit there and sit there and sit there and sit there. You can follow any one of these people out here today in their car for 300-400 miles and they will never get out of that left lane. That space between where I am and that other truck up ahead was more than enough space that every one of those cars should have got back to the right-hand lane until they caught back up to that semi-truck and got back out into the left to pass him. And by the way, when you're passing a semi-truck, get past. Get past as fast as you can, legally and safely. Because guess what? The longer you sit next to a semi-truck, the chance of having a fatal accident is. Any one of those tires on that side could blow out and throw rubber through your windshield, decapitating you. Or that driver could have a coughing fit, or a heart attack, or sneeze, or pass out because he choked on food, and next thing you know, he just drove his truck over you in the left lane. Don't ever sit next to a semi-truck. Get past them. The quicker you get out of there, the quicker the semi-truck is out of your way and out of your worry, right? That being said, when you see a semi-truck's turn signal come on, that does not mean get up next to him and just sit there. That means either pass me or back off and let me have the lane because you have no idea what's in front of me, and you could be about to, you could be the reason there's about to be an accident. And guess what? I can't begin to tell you how many times I have seen a semi-truck plow through a deer in one lane because he couldn't get over into the other lane because there was a vehicle that wouldn't let him. Even though you saw the deer standing in that lane for deer never. I can't begin to tell you how many times I've seen over the years and watched a deer bounce off the front of that semi-truck and come over into the left lane and go through the windshield of the car that refused to let the truck over. What happens when a deer flies through your windshield in your car? A lot of times people die, or they end up rolling the car and doing more damage, or they have fatal accidents and dismemberments and critically injured. I'm sorry, but you have no idea why that trucker turned his left signal on or his right signal on to change lanes. You don't know. Your best bet is to either back off and let him do it, or shoot past him fast enough and making sure nobody else is following you. If you got people following you that are going to shoot past too, you best back off. But if there's nobody that's gonna shoot past with you, go ahead and shoot past. Give us that moment we need to be safe and get out of the way. And you get to keep moving. You get to keep living, basically. A car and a semi-truck at these speeds, surviving it are slim to none. Just saying. That's one of my pet peeves. People will sit there right next to long. And it's not just, it can't even be common sense anymore. You can't consider it common sense anymore because 9.9, they will sit there all day next to a semi-truck because God forbid they get a semi-truck in there right in front of them, slowing them down for a minute. But here's a bit of truth. Not all semi-trucks are slow. I don't belong to a company that requires I have a governor on my truck. I do not have a governor. I am my own. I can do the same speeds as you can, if not faster. Matter of fact, I can go faster. Difference is, yes, it takes me longer to get up to that speed than it does you. But I can get up there. There's no reason for a car to sit next to a semi-truck. None. And it's like nobody even remembers the fact that, well, yeah, it takes a semi-truck a lot longer to speed up, but it takes them twice as long to slow down or stop. You can stop your car practically on a dime even at 70 miles an hour. At 70 miles an hour, a semi-truck is going to travel almost a little over half a mile from the moment he hits his brakes to the time he comes to a stop. So you want to pull something stupid in front of a and there's not enough room, there's not a half a mile between him and what he was trying to avoid. You are the reason that accident got caused. You. Sitting next to a semi-truck. God forbid the truck hits something and it flies off into the left lane and kills your car or you. Then whose fault is it? You're going to blame the trucker for that? Sorry. No. Come on, MTS. Get past him. That's another major pet peeve of mine. Semi-truck drivers that cannot seem, they'll sit there at half, maybe a quarter of a mile an hour faster than the guy in the right-hand lane. And they'll be itchy to get, they see another truck or something coming up, catching up to them. So they'll get out there in that left lane thinking, okay, he can't be going any faster than I am, so I'm just going to go ahead and pass this truck now because it's another truck and, you know, he can't do much better. They are governed. Their trucks are governed. They decide they're at half a mile an hour faster than the other truck and take that. The ones that look in their mirror one time, see a truck there in the left lane, and they take it just like that. Well, they don't realize we're in Wyoming. The speed limit, or in Utah, the speed limit is 80 miles an hour. The truck in that left lane is doing 80 miles an hour, and you're in a truck that's governed at 62 miles an hour or 65 miles an hour. So you took a glance and saw a truck there and decided, well, he can't be moving any faster than me because he's a truck too. And you whip out. You flip. That truck is moving. Somebody does that to me, I end up with maybe 2 to 3 inches from my front bumper and their rear end by the time I'm back down to a speed that matches theirs. And even then, I still have to be on the brake because I cannot ride that close. It's too dangerous. Use the mirrors you were given. Adding temperature to my coolant too badly right yet. 178 more miles. I'm down just under a quarter of a tank of fuel. And have to stop and get fuel before getting all the way there, but at least I won't have to put that much in. When I do that, I'm going to refill my coolant too. Hopefully I make it all the way there without getting her overheated. No, I'm not hoping that I make it there before getting her overheated. I know I will. I know I will. I don't know why I'm saying I'm hoping. It's not the first time I've had to deal with this. There are so many different parts in this coolant system that can break, and just when I think every one of them's been replaced, another one that hasn't been finally peeks its head up and says, hey, here I am, broken. Situation with X-Ray and Eric and another person involved, you would not be saying that. There was money donated to get X-Ray's truck fixed. There was a substantial amount of money donated to get X-Ray's truck fixed. Eric took that money to be able to go and get the parts and fix what was wrong with X-Ray's truck, Bertha. And guess what? He didn't get what it was supposed to get. He ended up fixing somebody else's car. which is why X-Ray ended up broken down in Ohio, and somebody else ended up having to try to fix up Bertha, and then ended up giving him what is now known as the Beast. So, you know, if you trust a mechanic to go get with money to go get your parts so that you can get something fixed, and they take that money and fix somebody else's car with it, wouldn't you be a little mad too? You know, without my GPS, I really have no idea how fast I'm going sometimes. When you're talking about 120 mile an hour speeds uphill with the super trucks, my speedometer on the dashboard only goes to 85 miles an hour. That's why I said a lot of times I have no idea how fast I'm going unless I look at my GPS. I'm not a super truck. I'm not a super trucker. Every semi-truck out here can do speeds in excess of 150 miles an hour. They can. Very easily. It depends on their transmission gearing and their rear end gearing. However their differentials in the back are geared. If they're geared low or high, you know, the higher the better. The higher they're geared, the higher speeds they'll get, but they lose a lot of the pulling power uphill. The lower geared, the better you are at pulling the weights up the hills. A lot of speed going up hills. You'll see trucks doing 20 and 30 miles an hour up a hill, and other trucks are able to sit there and do 60 and 70 up the hill. Well, a lot of that is all in gearing. It has not the horsepower of the engine, but not much. The majority of it is the gearing and the torque. So every truck out here could easily hit 150 miles an hour. It just takes them longer to get up to it. But the problem is, almost all the big 65, 70, 75 miles an hour. The vast majority of them are between 62 and 65 on their governors. But you get into these other states where the speed limits are 70, 75, and 80 miles an hour. You've got North Dakota, South Dakota, Wyoming, Utah, Nevada, and Texas are all 80 mile an hour speed limits. In cars and trucks, or cars and pickups and all that, speed limit's 80, they're doing 90 and 100 miles an hour. And they're not getting pulled over because, well, the cops really don't care about that, right? Then you also have, or like I semi-truck hotheads that are out there doing 90 and 100 miles an hour, 120, because the speed limit's at 80. But then again, even when the speed limit was at 60, those hotheads were still doing 120 miles an hour. Their days, you know, the governed truck is a lot of the problem out on the road. A governed truck is an accident waiting to happen. You've got too many people to that digital device in their hand and refusing to look up, and they don't realize that semi-truck in front of 120. On your mirror. The newer cars get this little flashy light on their mirrors that says that there is something in their blind spot. Well, the second that light goes out, they flip their signal and come over. Well, you can do that with a regular car that you're passing, but you cannot do that with a semi-truck. You do that with a driver. In a spot that is zone. That is my stopping area. If something happens and makes it so that everybody has to come to a screeching halt, and you happen to be sitting in that area, my truck will roll right over the top of you before it ever stops. The addition of that is also the problem, because people are busy looking at their digital device, and in the corner of their eye they see that that little flashy light on their mirror quit, so they come over without even looking. Just because the light quit doesn't mean you're safe. There is a lot more to that you do not know. Trust me. I know a lot more about it, and I'm not going to talk about it because it's not my place. But just know there is a ton more to that story, and X-Ray is not in the wrong. About even having a small coolant leak on a big truck, big semi-truck like this, 14 gallons. Yeah, I won't start overheating until I've lost close to 6 gallons, which is a good thing. That gives me the ability to baby it across and get to where I need to so I can work on it and get it fixed. Interesting, considering Shelly and her husband gave X-Ray that white Dodge that he's driving now. Think about that. Not to mention, kind of funny, X-Ray was sitting there broken down up in Ohio, and even while he was dealing with, getting the white truck from Shelly and her husband, Paul Revere was already in Hagerstown. So the whole time that Shelly was interacting with X-Ray, Paul Revere was on the road. Paul Revere was already in Hagerstown while they were dealing with trying to see what was wrong with Bertha, and then ended up scrapping that idea and ended up giving him the white Dodge. Why would they give him the white Dodge if that's really how they felt? Think about that. Well, you know, the biggest problem that the convoy has is all the inner bickering and the rumor mill and, you know, people's egos. People's egos. I'm in control. I'm in control. This is what I'm in control of. I have say over you. I have power. Even people that don't have any claim to have some. I don't claim to have any. I am just a participant when I can afford to be. The only reason that I am not there full time is I was put in an extreme financial bind prior to the convoy even becoming a thing. And I had to make financial decisions, which puts me out here. I gotta keep the commitments I made. Otherwise, I'm not a real man, right? You don't do anything without honor. When it comes to the convoy, I have no power, I have no control. I follow what the leadership says. Period. End of story. Anybody else, yeah, okay, I can volunteer to be help for parking and help for security and all of that stuff, but I don't let that go to my head. I do what I'm asked to do. If somebody does not like the outcome, they can take it up with the leadership that put me in that position, and I'll tell them that. But convoy, that just because they're in the convoy, they think that they run it. You know, you got somebody doesn't even have a car that starts bullying in that specific spot. They've got, you know, they're riding with somebody else and they're getting that somebody else to run up on somebody and bully them out of that position. That person does not have the right to do that. You know? Telling your children involved to stop doing something because it's unsafe, then the parents of the other child come up and start screaming at the other parent. That's wrong. You know, people that are passing the rumors around. So I heard so-and-so did this or said this on his live stream, or I heard so-and-so did this to this other driver over here. Well, you know what? You don't know both sides of the story. Shut your mouth. Mind your own business. It is not your business to spread. Buffering. We need to set all that stuff aside. You do not have to like your neighbor, but you do have to get along with them to coexist. Just like your next door neighbor, you may not like the guy, but there will be a time when you might need him to come over and you know what? If you do the job for him or let him use it, it keeps the civility between the two of you, right? Also, you know, he's got a sewage problem. It's not long before it ends up in your yard. So why, even if you don't like the guy, doesn't mean you can't coexist with him on a friendly level. Everybody in this country needs to, may not like, make a serious attempt to coexist with them civilly. And once we can do that, and then we can all stand together, it doesn't matter what your beliefs are or your ideologies are. I don't care what you're raised on or came from. We all need to come together and stop what is happening. We all need to come together and take our country back and tell the people in office that they work for us. They have forgotten they do not sit on thrones, and we are not servants. We are not peasants. We are not slaves. Hot and humid. Oh, I can feel that for sure. Stay out of my lane, little car. Yeah, when you hear me driving by Braille, it's usually me trying to avoid something on one side or the other of my truck that you normally can't see because it's next to me instead of in front of me, you know. And I say driving by Braille, that's what this is. When you get on that rumble strip, like that, we call that driving by Braille because there are times of the year where that's all we've got. You know, we can drive across Wyoming from one end to the other completely on the rumble strip because that's the only way we know where we are on the road. Because you can't see through the snow and ice. Past a place that I was thinking I might want to pull in and check my coolant level. It's a little too bad because that place is awesome. It's called the Black Rifle Gun Shop. It's right next to a Cenex in Boonville, Missouri, and it is not the same Black Rifle as Black Rifle